his Accenture mind frame springboard omit that we are going to solve in a sub 60-minute video that's, quite frankly, some of the most genius content that I've ever come up with. That is not an understatement because of my level of prep and prompting, because what is today? Today's the Wednesday, the 26th. What happened on March 23rd? I asked ChatGPT Grok 3 this simple question: how do I use Alex Hormozi content to go from $0 to $600,000? The answer is this video, which is plugging the hole of why is there a black hole and a gold hole, Vanderbilt colors implied? Because it's Vanderbilt organizational behavior. It's Vanderbilt corporate strategy with a large dollop of Accenture. What in the world did I just delve into? I am a huge fan of Alex Hormozi. And what we're doing here is asking ourselves the question, what if Alex Hormozi had to do tech sales by actually doing the sales and the tech? Because if you're following him with an engineering degree, you're going to be lost in the sauce. You're going to fall into the chasm of innovation. This is the breakdown of an initial diatribe, which is this. When you understand and look into from an AI perspective, remember, I used day 23 of the 23 days of OpenAI at South by Southwest. And I asked, how does Alex Hormozi content wrangle you from $0 to $600,000? There's a ginormous hole. Why does the hole exist? We're going to explain that in 2 sentences before we start to solve these with 21 components. How are you? I'm great. Let's get into it. Hole number 1 is OB, organizational behavior. Number 2 is corporate strategy. And corporate strategy is basically ivory tower marketing with a large dollop of Accenture. Accenture consultants coming in and telling you, hey, your business temporarily sucks. No kidding, I'm at $0. Component number 1, separating the words marketing from sales and not using them interchangeably the way that a non-business person would react. Why? Because selling requires a person to either say yes or no. And when they say no to you, it's going to be super painful, kind of like asking for a date. But if you're using a dating app to try to delegate distribution of your D, then it's less painful because you're not having to cold open in person. So to review that component, it's marketing is different from sales and selling, even though they're generally business. Who am I? I'm LChiang, and I collect things on what they don't teach you in school. And I hit upon day 23 of the 23 days of OpenAI with Alex Hormozi. I'm not saying don't watch his content. I'm saying together, you and I are going to benefit from solving a large, ginormous Alex Hormozi problem. And that is this. Sales is accountability, whereas marketing is throwing a soft pass, hoping that a recipient is going to properly receive it and then automatically sign up to give you money. That's idealistic and not very tech sales oriented. When we're going into component number 2 of the 21 components, realizing that tech sales relies upon Alex Hormozi's sales skill of selling a gym membership. And let's say you don't care about gym memberships, or you don't care about selling, or you're happily underemployed and you don't see the difficulty of selling one gym membership. This is why it's unfortunately helping smart people get smarter and helping rich people get richer. This is your choice for caring. I care, and this is not going to have a workshop sale on the back end because this is free. When we learn to get away from marketing theory into sales and selling practice, when we get away from organizational behavior and corporate strategy theory, we can then have a shot to run a base protocol for, let's try to sell two things. Are we going to practice selling gym memberships? That's way later in the video. Initially, we're going to practice selling two things that are not technical. Why? Because when you're Alex Hormozi and you're not technical and you're not sales strategy driven, you're literally 0 for 2 when it comes to tech sales. I'm not going to say, oh, go get a STEM or tech degree, because what we're going to do is we're going to meet each other where we are at, which is today, maybe you haven't sold one thing. And selling one thing to me is pretty easy because my phone number's everywhere. But then selling a second thing. So we're going from 0 to 2 sales. And this is the painful component of Alex Hormozi's content, because he wants each video to get 200,000 views. Once you attribute accountability to a video, now people are going to be like, I was kind of just hoping for a marketing silver bullet. That's component number 3, is there are no silver bullets, and there's also no ability to number 5, which is delegate sales and selling to a future person that you're trying to be a marketing intern, be a social media intern, hoping that, oh, if we just had 500 more followers, we could convert one of those followers into a sale. That is not the environment that we are in. Why? Because when you're throwing marketing Hail Marys, hoping to go viral, hoping that your corporate strategy for your nascent baby, not incubated startup is going to be incredibly challenging, the emotionally difficult thing to do is to sell and do tech sales. Let's jump into component number 7, which is, are you willing to sell IRL, in person? I'm not talking yet about cold calling. I'm talking about what they don't teach you at Y Combinator, which is how to sell at a trade show. If you're taking notes, this is number 8. When you sell at a trade show, you think, oh, I got to spend $10,000. No. You're selling at a trade show in the hotel lobby, 2 balloons and maybe a little signed placard that is as simple as an ultimate light board that costs less than 20 bucks. Hey, did you steal your kid's thing? I don't have any kids. This is a toy that doubles as a company sign, what they don't teach at Y Combinator, which is lobby networking. Here's an example of lobby networking. Let's say you Google the location of Bitcoin for corporations and you want to sell at a trade show because you took some advice and, hey, you live in Orlando. That's how we are going to progress using a protocol, which is, let's try to sell 2 things at a trade show while spending exactly $0. This is the problem that you're solving, which is startup death spiral. That's where You delegate sales and selling to a VP of sales. You and your co-founder both decide, oh yeah, we don't have to sell. And now you're in startup death spiral because after the second VP of sales gets fired, you get fired. What's challenging, number 9, about technical sales is the fact that you've never worked as an SDR. You've never worked as an account manager. You've never worked as a national account manager. And what we're solving is the challenger sale, which is, will you incorporate mentorship, which is chapters 4 and 5? Will you incorporate teaching to the challenger sales process? Will you then incorporate tailoring to chapter 6 in order to control the sale? So these components Alex Hormozi refuses to teach because they're incredibly unpopular. Why do I teach it? Because I'm tall, I'm pretty, and I DGAF about my number of views. I just need to get the information out there so that way, if you're a startup and you're like, oh my God, this marketing thing is killing me, maybe I need to read Jessica Livingston's book, Founders at Work, which costs less than like $20 used. Maybe I need to take this book and take to heart the fact that founders, initially, we need to spend more time on selling and less time trying to throw marketing Hail Marys. Who am I? Hi, thanks for asking. I'm LChiang, and I collect things on what they don't teach you in school. And I enthusiastically go from 17 views to 17 views. Why? Because this information matters to the people who receive it, and it's massively profitable, and it's kind of painful to do because when you do tech sales, people could say no to you. And when people say no to people, some people cry and go home. And they're like, oh, I just need to work on the perfect product. Component number 11, we are doing tech sales for a quarter-baked, half-baked product that we just came up with 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago. Like, this stuff is difficult to do because of number 13, no need and no trust. When you're selling to people, imagine this video. You've got no need to solve Alex Hormozi's problems, or maybe you do, and then now no trust, which is, who is this confident Chinese person in a cowboy hat, you might be asking. Well, with the two components of no need, no trust, now there's a money ask. There's no money ask here, but when you're technically selling, there is a money ask. And so when you're technically selling something that you are the co-founder of, you intrinsically have, I don't want anyone to say no to my baby, because you created this baby and now you're emotionally attached to your startup. Anybody who rejects your baby is just like saying, hey, your dog, it's ugly. And if you tell me that my dog's ugly, I'll just keep walking my dog around to more hot women. And the way the numbers work is eventually somebody's going to be like, oh my God, that's the cutest thing ever. We should hang out sometime. What we're doing is going from failure to failure with great enthusiasm. That's what's missing in the Alex Hormozi Accenture arsenal. Is this an audit from Deloitte and Ernst & Young? You don't even need to audit it. It's so clearly simple that there's a donut hole in number 15, which is going from 0 to centicorn. What's a centicorn? A centicorn is $100 million. That's a centicorn. It's 1/10 of a unicorn. What's a unicorn? A unicorn is $1 billion. And so altogether, it gets really demoralizing when someone's screaming at you to make $100 million when you're at $0 and there's a donut hole. How well am I doing on my 21 components of Alex Hormozi? Pretty darn well, because we're going to solve the problem of going from 0 to $1,000. Strap in, because it's about to get hilarious while we are going to collaborate using this video. Who am I? I am LChiang, And I hit upon this accidentally because I asked ChatGPT, hey, how would Alex Hormozi get us to $600,000? I asked this on day 23 of the 23 days of OpenAI at South by Southwest. How you can benefit is this is still going to be a problem next year. This is still probably going to be a problem in 10 years. Why? This is an age-old chicken or egg problem, which is tech, engineering degree. That's kind of hard because component number 17, I asked, what if Alex Hormozi had to go get an engineering degree from Vanderbilt? Would it take him less than 3 years? Would it take him less than 3 years? Because OMG, absolutely, it might take him 11 years. Remember, Alex Hormozi studied Vanderbilt organizational behavior, corporate strategy, magna cum laude, whatever that means. 3 years, a top GPA, landing him right into Accenture. We're landing him right into Accenture. It's hard to message and respond. So landing him into Accenture. So when you do no tech and no sales, where you're just trying to do corporate strategy marketing and organizational behavior consulting, that's really going to be difficult for you to leave $0 and go to $1,000. Do you see how insightful this video is? Because it turns out going from zero to unicorn in Peter Thiel's book, he had the same problem. Did he study engineering for undergrad, Peter Thiel? No, he studied law. And then he studied more law. And then he paste copied the forward deployed engineer in a euphemism to paste over tech sales. This is a fact that you guys can benefit from because zero to unicorn is 0 to $1 billion, which is 0 to 1. 0 to centicorn is 0 to $100 million. And that's also the donut hole, which we're solving with the 21 components that Alex Hormozi has not addressed, which is us doing technical sales. Freemium. How many times have you heard a startup, this is point number 18, by the way. How many times have you heard a startup say, oh, well, initially with our tech innovation, we'll just go ahead and give this software away for free, or this book, I'll just give this book away for free. Chris Anderson has mapped out this problem that Alex Hormozi refuses to address, which is the Alex Hormozi genius, Accenture strategy. It is this. Will you create free content that's better than other people's paid content? That in and of itself is genius because now it forces us to be better at content creation. Is this 60-minute video that we're 19 minutes into as valuable as a $5,000 Joe Dispenza workshop? Almost. But definitely an Alex Hormozi $1,000 workshop. Why? Because we're able to take specific things of free and freemium to solve it with this protocol that Alex Hormozi has left off. Now that I'm giving this to you for free, you can then get ROI for an Alex Hormozi conference before you attend if you write a blog post and do a little bit of content creation. Let's go. Bold promises, which is problem, solving free. Solution, do a Mark McCormack reverse rebate model. What is the Mark McCormack reverse rebate model? This is how it works. I'm theoretically selling to gym memberships, selling to gym memberships, not to you guys. This is what we're going to do together. We're going to sell this gym membership. Remember, this is the Mark McCormack reverse rebate model. We're going to sell exorbitantly expensive things, which is also right out of the book of Alex Hormozi. Well, not the crap ass books that he's writing on Centacorn stuff, but this is out of the future book that we get to write together. Gym Launchpad. Selling something for an exorbitantly high amount of money. Let's not take, for an example, let's take a practice. Let's get away from theory and let's go into theorem. Selling a $701 Equinox gym membership. What? How in the world are you going to sell something that has a market value of 80 bucks and sell it for 700 bucks? Like, who would ever buy it? Well, I'm glad that you asked, because you did not read the book Gym Launch. It's $75 that Alex Hormozi wrote. It's currently out of print. I added 3 chapters to that book that are tech sales, and more tech sales. Oh, but Larry, how does selling an Equinox gym membership involve tech sales? Oh, it's incredibly technical and it's very salesy, because I am confident that I can sell 2 memberships to Equinox. This is what it includes. 1, if you sign up for the $700 Equinox gym class, and if you say 2 positive things or snap 2 selfies with your yoga teacher, LChiang, I will give you $350 back of the Equinox 700 bucks. What? That makes it $0. That's what the Mark McCormack reverse rebate model is. What I'm doing is I'm buying testimonials for basically $0. And for the first 3 months, it's 700 bucks. Afterwards, you can obviously get your money back in a reverse rebate model. But afterwards, it drops in price. The important thing is this offers only for Equinox at the South Congress location. What is critical to know is this is the same model that Alex Hormozi did to sell gym memberships, both down to fat people and up to gym owners. So, would you like to spend $1,000 to no longer be fat and to be good looking for your 10-year high school reunion? Would you? That's what Gym Launch is about. What we're doing with Equinox is we're selling gym memberships to a gym that we don't own. Is that legal? Oh yeah, it's super legal, because that's what we're doing with an external API. And if that's point numbers 19, 20, 21, and 22 of the components that Alex Hormozi won't teach you, you're keeping terrific notes. Is this a video that you're gonna have to rewatch where you're like, wow, initially the Chinese cowboy, he kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But later, he's like dropping all these sorts of knowledge bombs. He must read a lot of books. He must read super fast. He must be able to synthesize this information. Let's recap for people that are just new to this arena. Man in the arena, you and I selling gym memberships. We are taking an existing thing, a gym membership, because that's what Alex Hormozi did when he did tech sales and now refuses to advocate you should do tech sales. This is what he had to emotionally push himself to do. And after he did it, now he's able to do motivational speeches and motivational talks while skipping over the painful stuff that he had to do, which is tech and sales. And let's say you don't have a job right now. Let's say you are underemployed. Let's say you want to side hustle as an engineer. This is literally what we're going to do, which is so painful, but for me, it's so fun. Why? Because I chapter 4'd Unlimited Power, where I've juxtaposed my pain and my pleasure, where I love watching people watch me sell two gym memberships, 2 copies of the book Gym Launchpad. Oh, is that a sequel to Gym Launch? Because that's $75 and that's out of print. Yes, using the freemium model, meaning if you read Gym Launchpad and the 3 supplemental chapters, which turns into 14 new chapters using Grok 3, oh, is this how you use AI to make your first $500? I don't know. You pick. But if you're on $0 and you're using AI and you've made $0, what the actual F are you talking to your smartphone about? Is this day number 23? 23 days of OpenAI, I asked ChatGPT, Grok 3, why does Alex Hormozi not walk us through from $0 to $600, let alone 600K? And the answers that came back are the basis for this video that solves the Alex Hormozi problem. Am I now consulting the consultants? Most definitively, yes. And is that hilarious on 10 levels? I think it is, because you guys haven't watched the TV show House of Lies, Don Cheadle. He's making fun of McKinsey, Accenture, PwC, Deloitte, Ernst & Young. Am I also an Accenture alum? Kinda. Guess who did the humorous keynote for what they don't teach you at Accenture? Did I sniff out David Duncan from Arthur Andersen? Remember, it's called Accenture for a reason. Why? Because they audited Enron so shittily that they literally bankrupted the bed. Now, this isn't necessarily diarrhea-ing the bed, okay? That's just where your digestive tract isn't so good. You farted and then you sharted, okay? That's pooing the bed. That's not what Arthur Andersen did. They literally sharted the bed, and then they decided, David Duncan, allegedly auditing Enron, not a tongue twister. The way that he audited, and this is the consultants need consultants, which is what this video is. It's consulting the consultants on why won't you just do tech and sales inside of Vanderbilt, organizational behavior, corporate strategy, Accenture. Why? This is what Accenture does, which is why it's even called Accenture. Backstory, which is David Duncan allegedly audited Enron as their auditor of record. When you're auditing Enron and you get owned by a Chinese dude in a Palo Alto City Council meeting asking some pretty simple questions, you didn't just poop the bed. You bankrupted 2 companies, Arthur Andersen Accounting and Andersen Consulting. Like, you literally diarrheaed your own face, where you make 2 girls, 1 cup seem like it's a PG-12 G-rated film. That's David Duncan, who allegedly audited Enron. That's what we're doing with not calling out Alex Hormozi because he didn't do an Enron disaster, but what we're doing is we're looking at some simple things and asking some basic questions, which is organizational behavior, question mark, corporate strategy, question mark, magna cum laude, congratulations, you graduated in 3 years, with a nice dollop of Accenture. Do you have any shot in helping tech founders do tech sales who've never done SDR roles? I keep wanting to say SDK, or account manager roles, because what you're doing when you're a tech founder, point number 29, is you're having to be national account manager doing large account management processes with 0 SDR experience, 0 account manager, account representative experience. Now you're being forced to do national account manager status while having 0 experience with the Miller-Hyman technique. I did not just make that up. I got it. I got it from a book from 1991. Large account management processes. For the accounts you can't afford to lose, the strategies that will keep your customers coming back. What we're doing is asking some pretty simple questions, which is, gosh, tech sales, it's kind of painful. Why don't we try to duck that pain? Hey, this technical sales thing, it's not going viral. Is there a way to do some of these things so that way they scale? These are some pretty good questions. Let's get into some of these answers. Going from zero to centicorn involves having to leverage the Mark McCormack reverse rebate model. But for you, you don't get to call it that because I don't trust that people are going to ace it the first time, which is why we're calling it for you the LCRRM, the LChiang reverse rebate model. When you ace that a couple times, then you get to give my mentor credit because I don't want to be in a situation where you're blaming Mark McCormack for stuff that doesn't work because you dropped the ball on the reverse rebate model. This is how it works again for a second rep, which is you sell something for $700. Now, say two positive things about it. I will give you $350 back twice. Net, it becomes $0. So an example is I will sell you an Equinox gym membership, not to the one in DC, not to the one in Chicago, no Miami, definitely not LA. I'm selling you the Equinox one where? South Congress in Austin. Why? Because it's right next to Soho House. That's why. Because you can't lose when you spend $700 to do tech sales. 3 months after the $700, it'll drop to a nominal rate, but the first 3 months, $700. Rebated twice. So you at least need to go to the gym twice. I'm not going to sell a gym membership where you forget to go, and then that's the problem of freemium is you don't go, is you don't use it because you've got no skin in the game. Next point, I think we're at like 26 now, which is this. Founders at work. Bill Clerico. On the phone, people can't tell that you're young. On the phone, let me repeat, people can't tell that you are young. So when people can't tell that people are young, then what happens is we get an advantage because on the phone, people can't tell that we're a sophomore in college. Who wrote this book? Jessica Livingston. Problem. Marketing makes YC companies go bankrupt. Problem. Alex Hormozi's content for marketing makes startups give up. Not necessarily have to declare bankruptcy, but will quit because you're trying to run these ads. When Jim Launch ran ads on Facebook, Facebook was an emerging platform and they were charging nickels on the advertising dollar. And so when you focus on spending money in order to try to make money, you're doing the opposite of tech sales because you are spending money hoping to go viral. Not a good strategy. That's why Jessica Livingston talks about in her book, Founders at Work, do you like this bibliography? Is the ability to focus more on selling and selling protocols versus marketing. Scale. Prematurely trying to scale kills startups dead. Prematurely wanting to be a large company when you have not yet done things that don't scale. Counterintuitively, when you're doing things that feel like you're not getting immediate results, your brain says, I can't handle this pain because my rewards are not aligned with how much I'm working. And so there's an essay that I will quote you so that way you don't have to read it, which is do things that don't scale. And what this essay is bullet pointing is, will you try to sell two things? Will you try to get away from marketing and from behind a screen to talk to users face to face? And if a user hasn't used your product yet, will you do the Collison Brothers installation, which is I install it on your computer or your phone and I watch you become a test user? This is incredibly painful. Why? Because people will say not positive things about your components. And that's okay because now you're getting feedback. 21 components of Alex Hormozy's gaps in content. Content. Doing things that don't scale is such a cheat code to escape the most powerful number in the universe, 0. Hitting flow state is like Stephen Zumdahl's book, Activation Energy. Flow state only happens once we rise and then release energy of the system. But initially, work needs to be put into place. This is activation energy at its very definition, which is we need to input a certain amount of work before energy is released. And the concept of activation energy and then reducing the activation energy required is done via catalysts. So catalyzing by reducing the energy required so that way energy can be released. This is a concept that is lacking in Alex Hormozy, where he's promising, implicating less pain. And when there's an activation energy, it's this simple thing, which is do things that don't scale, but have momentum. Is this also YC going from 0 to unicorn? Yes. Is there going to be a startup school for AI? Yes. June 15 and June 16. What is this content today talking about? It's talking about the 23 days of OpenAI at South by Southwest, particularly with day number 23, which is asking the simple question, why is there a gap in going from 0 to $600,000 in the Alex Hormozy levels of content? Accenture always selling scale. So remember, it's Vanderbilt, Accenture. And so why is organizational behavior, corporate strategy, and Accenture always trying to sell scale? Because scale is theoretically pleasing. It's a theory. It's not a theorem, because skipping over $0 to $600,000 is conveniently inconvenient because it causes founders to give up. Not necessarily go bankrupt, but to go in a founder kind of bankruptcy, which is a default of attention and a default of work and not allocating more time and resources because you're like, hey, I'm dying here in this innovation. Selling to hot dogs. Sam Parr, My First Million. Terrific podcast, right? What about doing the Sam Parr hot dog business? Because when you're selling a hot dog, you're getting over the fact that you've sold zero. Because when you try to jump right to national account manager for your own tech startup, it becomes difficult. Why? Because you haven't done the prior SDR work and prior account manager work, because you never really even sold lemonade at a lemonade stand. Sell to Shelby Sap door knocks. What is the Shelby Sap Hot Girl Sales Club riff? It is teaching you high ticket sales while having you skip over selling 2 items door to door. Selling door to door is incredibly difficult because people want to slam the door in your face. Is paying $2,997 going to have to help you skip over that step? A little bit. Point number 26. Good job for paying attention, and good job literally rewatching this video a second time. Macro versus micro. Macro is kind of like macroeconomics, because on the macro level, there's organizational behavior, corporate strategy, and Accenture. Those things are macro, macro, macro. What happens when we are micro, 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 and we're trying to figure out the macro organizational behavior, the macro corporate strategy, the macro of Accenture? Like, you're missing it on 3 levels of micro. Let's take each micro and let's sell 20 prospects. I'm not saying successfully sell 20 prospects. I'm saying dip in and meet 20 prospects that 19 of them are going to say no. This is the component of why you should sell 2 gym memberships, 2 hot dogs, 2 books for $800 each, two of anything. Because now you're realizing, if I hear 80 no's and 2 yeses, I'm a millionaire in 11.7 days. Think about that. A million seconds is 11.7 days. A billion seconds is over 30 years. And us thinking that a million is a third of a billion is why there's a gap from 0 to unicorn, 0 to 1, 0 to centicorn, which is the Alex Hormozi content. That's micro versus macro. And together, we're solving the Vanderbilt at the organizational behavior and corporate strategy level. Food for lead gen, number 29. Good job. Let's go. So you have a website selling business. You have a car selling business, Tesla. You now hand out cookies to do food for lead generation. So you're having to do SDR work as a co-founder, where you're now meeting users at a trade show that you need to generate 80 leads in order to sell 1 person. Remember, if you go with those ratios of hearing 79 no's and then hearing 1 yes, you absolutely will be a millionaire. And hearing this as a person who's underemployed or unemployed, that's a mental twist, which is why the unintended consequences of this video is it's just going to help rich people get richer. I don't know why, but I'm trying as hard as I possibly can to help a person who's currently underemployed or unemployed go from not tech and not sales to at least sales, and then you can backdoor an engineering degree by studying YouTube videos. Food for lead generation, summarized, is where you're handing out slices of pizza in exchange for people's cell phone number in order to drive clients for your joke franchise, which is Chapter 69, which is a faux franchise of the 23 days of OpenAI at ACL. You like that? Yeah. Next point, because you guys have been so good at paying attention, is the call to action to study buddy the YouTube series Tech Sales at Higher Levels. Is this going to cost you $5,000 a month in consulting? It could, or you could just pay zero. This is what it entails. You watch a video on tech sales at higher levels, and then you text me, hey, I watched this video. And then we study buddy that video, and you force that video to try to make us money. That's tech sales on 21 levels. Is this Texas Institute of Tech Sales? Yeah. Is that a joke? Tits? Texas Institute of Technical Sales? It most definitively is not a joke. It's hilarious, though. You're welcome. You're welcome. You are welcome. Texas Institute Tech Sales. Did I just make that up? Actually, me and Elon made that up. TITS. TITS. Texas Institute Technology and Sales. People think I party all the time. Yeah, I party all the time, but I'm also partying with your money that you can make that I'm giving to you for free because I am hilarious. Get it? Hi, Larry ass. Hilarious. Winning. Do you like my prep? Why would you not like it? This is what it's required to win at podcasting. Winning. Is this a PhD thesis in kicking butt in tech sales? It is if you want it to be. Whoa, what if like I'm 5 years away from finishing an engineering degree? What if you wanted to use college? What if you wanted to take a video and try to make $500 or $500,000 with one video? Have you ever made any money on one video, or have all the videos been $0? That's okay if every other press video has been $0 because we can make a change.